welcome to the Club Helensvale on Australia's Gold Coast for the first Trans-Tasman Test between New Zealand and Australia, and the first game of 9 that we'll be covering over the 3 days of the Trans-Tasman Tests. We're the men's pairs. Jamie Hill lead and Gary Lawson for New Zealand up against Aaron Tees and Aaron Wilson of Australia. Later today, we will have the women's fours, and then we'll have the development men's triples. All here at Club Helensvale. Players currently finishing up their trial ends. And as you can see, all the New Zealand combinations in action at the same time. We also have men's triples, women's pairs, and women's triples taking part here for the Blackjacks against Australia. I'm Brenton Vanessa-Roy. With me in commentary, as always, is Kevin Hickland. Very good morning, Kevin.
Good morning, Brenton. Another glorious day here on the Gold Coast at Club Helensvale. The temperatures today to be estimated around 28 degrees, and we look forward to, let's hope, a winning New Zealand day on day one of the Trans-Tasman, and building on those results, of course, from the Multi-Nations event yesterday, where New Zealand picked up 1 gold, 2 silver, and a couple of bronze medals. And of course, as well here at Club Helensvale, we have got the New Zealand development side, men and women, playing, and the New Zealand and Australia over 60 side playing as well. So for all you people back in New Zealand watching, we'll be bringing you updates. We'll be doing round the board updates throughout the games of those games today. So Brenton and myself will be focusing, of course, on our feature matches, which, as you rightly said, is the pairs, is the first game, men's pairs. But we will be updating you the scoreboard updates of both the other matches in the Trans-Tasman and the development sides and the over 60. So we're looking forward to 3 days of enjoyable bowls and bringing that coverage to you around the country, and we trust that you enjoy what Brenton and I and the crew here, Alex, Robbie and Ben, bring to you, and we're underway.
Yeah, certainly are. Straight into it. Also have the 2 development combinations, the men's pair and men's triple. Also playing on this green, right in front of us, we actually have the men's triples, but we'll be focusing on the men's pairs. So we're about to get underway on the first end. A bit of a discussion going on as they await the starters' orders, I think, to get underway in this Trans-Tasman. But the jack has been placed. Aaron Tees, Jamie Hill, closest to camera. Just waiting to get underway.
Well, this, Brenton, is a big event. This is the Trans-Tasman, as we build up, of course, to the World Bowls as well. This is part for the New Zealand selectors and, of course, the Australian selectors, part of watching and formulating their sides for the forthcoming World Championships, which we played on the same 3 venues of where this Trans-Tasman has been played. So we're about to get underway. Jamie Hill, the New Zealand lead, will deliver his bowl in the first bowl, teamed up, of course, with Gary Lawson. They got beaten yesterday by Canada in the final of the Multi-Nations. So play underway, and Jamie Hill delivering his first bowl. And these Helensvale greens normally run around about between 16 and 17 seconds, and pretty good opening bowl there, Brenton, from Jamie Hill.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it was interesting that both Australia Yellow and Australia Green didn't make it through to the Multi-Nations final of the men's pairs, but this may actually be the first time we've seen this combination of Aaron Tees and Aaron Wilson. For those who didn't know, is Aaron Tees not far away with his first either. Good opening bowl from the young Australian, and Australia had 2 teams at the Multi-Nations, and they mixed up those teams constantly. Every day they were playing different combinations. It was all about trialling what would work ahead of not only this Trans-Tasman, but most importantly, World Bowls Championships in May and June next year. So they've got the 2 youngsters together, 2 Aarons, Aaron Tees and Aaron Wilson in the men's pairs, and interesting to see how they go up against the vastly more experienced Gary Lawson and Jamie Hill.
And Aaron Wilson, he celebrated his birthday yesterday. And as Brenton and I have said right through the commentary over the last 2 days, the multinationals, Aaron Tees, without doubt, one of the real up-and-coming players in the Australian international scene. Very, very accomplished player. And, of course, Aaron Wilson, he doesn't need any introduction. He has already won world medals, Commonwealth Games medals, certainly. And a very colourful player is Aaron Wilson, and a very quick player as well. But he's certainly got a full array, full bag full of shots, that's for sure. And he's just another one of those really hard-nosed, competitive Australian players, which we've come to expect.
Yeah, very quick on the mat as well. Just like this young generation of Australian players are. Aaron Disco Wilson, you can expect a full bag of tricks from him in this opening game of the Trans-Tasman Test. First test that we're covering for you here from Club Helensvale. As Aaron Tees now with his third, playing on the backhand side, playing with a bit of weight, looking to either sit on his bowl, just gets an edge of it and turns out. But still a pretty decent start from Aaron Tees. The collection of bowls could be covered by a tea towel.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll see Gary Lawson come down on the other hand to watch Jamie Hill played and try and get around the front Jamie Hill bowl and get some cover on those two Australian bowls in behind the head, because no doubt Aaron Wilson will be playing for that trail, and Lawson straight away with the orangey coloured bowls. He jumps on, he's onto that forehand side of the rink, and certainly, as we predicted, going for that cover of the two yellow bowls that are in behind the head. It's going to come down with too much weight, but he was on the line. He can correct from there. Aaron Wilson as well, I haven't noticed it yet, is that very colourful normally in his sunscreen lotion. He sort of decks himself out in a number of colours quite often.
Yeah, very sun smart.
Very sun smart he is. Mike Kernan would be. And that would be shot. The bowl of Aaron Wilson just rolls over, falls off the Aaron Tees bowl and falls back for shot. Well, Mike Kernan, of course, who's not here, CEO of New Zealand Cancer Association, he'd be delighted to see Aaron Wilson adopts the slip slop. Wilson electing to change his hand to get down to sit on the Aaron Wilson bowl. Looks a good line. How's the weight as it breaks down towards the head? How far is it going to run? And that'll be Jack level shot. That'll be the shot for Gary Lawson, no question about that. And we'll no doubt see very quickly, we are seeing Aaron Wilson into his work, trying to get a touch on the Jack on the backhand. One down to the Gary Lawson second bowl as it breaks down towards the head. Trying to get down to that Jack as he got the Jack all right, and actually touched it into closer in towards the Lawson bowl. Now here's a dilemma, end one for New Zealand. Which way do we go now, Brendan? Because there's certainly a good shot on the touch of the Jack again for Aaron Wilson. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Australian bowls.
He has to get something amongst these 5 bowls, doesn't he?
He certainly does. He's got to hang out and try and get out slightly on that wider side and just get in around the 2 Aaron Wilson bowls, which are the Mauve. Do we go with Mauve today?
Oh, I'm still a fan of purple.
Okay, we're at purple.
It's purple and white.
Purple and white. We'll go with that.
Yeah, big discussion yesterday about Taylor Bruce's bowls, whether they were purple or mauve. Went with purple in the end.
So we've decided, we've anointed them as purple. As now Gary Lawson's going to slide under the head now. We just deep breath here and wait, because
a big opportunity this for Australia. A combination of Aaron Tees and Aaron Wilson early in this men's pairs match. First round of the first Trans-Tasman Test.
Quickly into his work is Aaron Wilson. Breaking down now. Certainly got the weight to get to the Jack. Is it going to come back far enough? It's too wide of the target, and it's yeah, we'll take that one for sure, Brenton, to open the account.
Yeah, well, I could have been dropping a big number there. Instead, it's New Zealand who pick up the first shot of this men's pairs opening round of the first Trans-Tasman Test. Jamie Hill and Gary Lawson, 1-0, leading Australia after the first of 18 ends.
This Trans-Tasman is traditionally, like, it's exceptionally tough event. 3 days. It's a mini World Bowls version, really, because you've got 3 days, 3 rounds a day, and you're playing against, or collectively, we've got some of the best players in the world here on display. So, you certainly have to be on your mettle right throughout. There's no room for loose bowls, loose heads, because you'll certainly pay for them. And so Jamie Hill has played his first bowl on this, the second of 18 ends, and a very good opening bowl by the New Zealander. In fact, a touch of the jack and just sits in behind the jack. It's a good start. And Aaron Tees, equal to it and draws alongside the jack.
Yeah, it looks to be, just looking at those score boards and back play there, that might be the only match that New Zealand is leading so far. And the high performance blackjacks against jackaroos right in front of us in the men's triples after the first end. Australia picking up a single, so they're leading 1-0 in the men's triples. And our focus of our first match of the day, bringing 3 to you today. Also the women's fours later this afternoon from 3 p.m. and then the development men's triples. All, of course, Trans-Tasman contests, all counting towards the first Trans-Tasman test.
And Helensvale, the Club Helensvale, in fact, has been a very happy hunting ground for Jamie Hill and Gary Lawson, because they, along with Dave Ferguson, Justin Goodman and Mike Carroll, they in fact won the big Helensvale Fives tournament here, the big $100,000 tournament that they won the year before last. They were runner-up the previous year, and in fact, the last time it was run the event, they ran out the winners, so they certainly are used to playing on these Helensvale greens. And again, Brendan, we look at that head number 2 from the leads, pretty consistent and around the jack, aren't they?
Yeah, man, pretty decent start from Jamie Hill and Aaron Tees, that's for sure. Wilson just getting the better of Aaron Wilson in that first end. And now we'll see what they can do in end number 2 of 18.
So Wilson will play on his backhand, breaking down towards the head now. Jamie Hill's pretty keen on this. How fast they're going to run off that centre line, get into the jack now. This looks a pretty good bowl, Brendan, and it's sit along, and that's the shot. The shot, Aaron T straight away. I must admit, yesterday I was very impressed with the Australian triples team in both Corey Wedlock and Aaron Tees, who, when New Zealand played a good bowl, they actually applauded it. They gave it a little clap, which I think is great sportsmanship shown by the Australians, and a touch on the jack, and it goes.
Jamie Hill signalled 2. So he's got the 2 white bowls, Jamie Hill, either side of the jack. So that yellow bowl, which is almost right in behind the jack, obviously must be a bit further away than it looks on camera. New Zealand's holding 2 at the moment. That's what Jamie Hill certainly indicated.
And the indication from Gary Lawson was, from Jamie Hill to Gary Lawson, let's get further back down behind the head. So he's confident, as Brendan rightly said, that New Zealand are holding 2 shots. And this is a big event for Jamie Hill, because he did struggle a wee bit in the Multi-Nations, and with that World Championship coming up next year, he'll want to put on a good performance. As we watch this, Aaron Wilson bowl, breaking down to get to the jack. He got the jack and it locked it in on the Jamie Hill bowl. But of course, it was a toucher, and that toucher will go to be chalk down the back. Difficult head to drive at now to get a result.
So now New Zealand will be holding just the 1. Maybe, do you play it safe here, or do you try and remove one of those Australian bowls?
I think Lawson's looking at playing down in front, down underneath his own orange bowl and underneath the Jamie Hill's bowl.
And just sitting on this Australian bowl, which is right on the centre line.
Yeah, trying to sit to that bowl, because that then alters the shot for Aaron Wilson, leaves him with virtually only 1 bowl sitting on the head. Certainly he's got the back bowl, but 2 rolls out of that bowl on the draw could be advantageous to New Zealand. So here's Gary Lawson on the mat. on his forehand. Breaking down towards the head. Looks as it's going to just be on that wider side, but that's fine. It's going to come down past the head and match a Australian bowl near the back. Indication from Aaron Tees that we're going to see Aaron Wilson follow that bowl up, but with a yard more weight, trying to. I just wonder, Brendan, will he'll get enough drag on the bowl to be able to actually get into where the jack is, but these guys can do most things with them.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty special effort to take the shot here. Playing on the backhand side is Aaron Wilson. Trying to come onto that front bowl, but it's going to hang out wide. Certainly seen it, but playing a bit difficult down that side. And now another single for New Zealand. So 2-0. They lead after 2 of the 18 ends. It's men's pairs. First round action of the first Trans-Tasman Test here at Club Helensvale. The next 2 will be played at Musgrave Hill tomorrow and Broadbeach Bowls Club on Wednesday respectively. And we'll have matches from all 3 tests, 3 a day. Plenty of bowls, wall-to-wall coverage from these Trans-Tasman Tests.
Big thing for New Zealand, Brenton, is in these early stages is to make sure that we are getting consistent bowls in around the head and getting back to the centre line, which we spoke about yesterday, because you know the danger is great opening bowl there from Jamie Hill. In fact, a front toucher. You certainly need bowls around the head and not scatters, and your bowls coming back to the centre line so you can build heads up and not expose yourself to the Australians being able to dominate the head and run bowls out and score 4s and 5s. So, you know, a good opening bowl. Another great bowl there from Aaron Tees as well. The bowl of Jamie Hill virtually sitting right on top of the jack.
Well, it's a leading exhibition at the moment between these two in the opening 3 ends. It's been great to watch between Jamie Hill and Aaron Tees. Of course, we more often than not see Aaron Tees playing as a skip as well. It just runs into that Aaron Tees bowl as Jamie Hill, and that also affects his shot bowl, but should be still 1 to New Zealand. Looking at our picture there, Aaron Tees will have a path to the jack though now, if he can get through and trail this, but I think he's going to run into his own and knock it away. It falls in, might be good enough for the shot. Gary Lawson might indicate, or at least say, the kind of bowl that he wants Jamie Hill to now play with his third and final of this third end.
So change of hand from Jamie Hill, trying to get down if he gets to the back as well. That's fine. Because, as Brendan rightly said, these heads are very, very, they're very tight, and bowls over the head are absolutely essential, because the jack will certainly, although Jamie Hill did have a front toucher there before, they're always going to move around. The players of this experience and this quality, they'll certainly be playing with weight to try and get shots, and we're going to see here Aaron Tees gets the bowl flat, sits on ran into it, and looks now begins 1 to Australia there, Brendan.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, isn't it? But maybe just 1 to Australia after moving that bowl onto the centre line.
And so from Gary Lawson, looking at what hand he's going to play. Certainly, he can't play what would be his backhand, because any contact would just move the jack just but a few inches into where those 2 yellow bowls are sitting. We have got the advantage of a Jamie Hill bowl in behind the head. So Lawson having a really good look at this head before he decides what shot he'll play on this, the 3rd of 18 ends. And as we thought, he's going to his backhand.
Yeah, I think this is the more consistent side of this rink as well. We've seen the other end, everyone playing on their forehand, this end, everyone playing on their backhand. Obviously, the way Gary Lawson was, he didn't have that many options. Now he's knocked away that wide, long bowl of Jamie Hill, and has ended up in the ditch. Hill's bowl maybe still in play. Jamie hasn't gone and picked it up.
So Aaron Wilson now breaking in towards the head, trying to get inside the Jamie Hill bowl. Just goes by with weight. So that's not telling us who's got the shot, because they both played with weight actually winning, didn't they? So
yeah, the Aussies always play with weight, though, don't
they?
They don't give it much away.
No, they certainly do. So see Lawson again on his backhand. Looks to be playing with less weight this time. After losing the back bowls, as it's breaking towards their head now, needs to get a cushion and run, and that was the danger as we spoke about. I don't know whether it's there.
Right, T's saying 3 now. It has not worked out well for Gary Lawson. Still has a bowl to play.
I think now, to be fair, Brendan, he can attack it quite quick, I would say, because he's 3 down. He can get rid of a couple for sure. It depends where that other Jamie Hill bowl, where it went. Did it stay in? Is it at the back? We're not 100% sure. Whether
certainly out wide, isn't it? Yeah,
so,
it's still in play. I don't know if it's as deep as these bowls, though, the two back bowls of Aaron Wilson.
So here now is Gary Lawson again.
Here we go, to see it left of screen.
Yep, I see it over there.
So I don't think it's going to count unless he can get the jack spurt all the way out here.
He's got something, has Lawson.
And all he's done, in fact, is knocked out all the New Zealand bowlers from the area. That has not worked out well. Very unfortunate, Gary Lawson. But the 3 shot bowls have all remained. So Australia, chance to pick up a 4 on this third end. If Aaron Wilson can convert, just needs to get inside this white short bowl of Jamie Hill. If it holds up, it's not going to hold up, though. So it is just the 3. So opportunity missed for Aaron Wilson to make it a 4. But Australia take the lead. 3-2, they now lead New Zealand after 3 of 18 ends in this men's pairs match to open the first Trans-Tasman Test.
And we see Aaron Sheriff on the drive next to us on the next rink here. Interesting, Brendan, and we did discuss this yesterday when we were talking about that men's triples, that when do you become conservative and when do you that head, for example, was a 1 down or 1 up head, so, and had danger around it with those Australian bowls hanging around close. But these players back themselves to play these big shots, and you certainly don't want them to put what we call the risk shots. Don't want to put them in the cupboard and forget about them, because,
as we've seen on the rink, alongside us, Ali Forsyth as well, playing weighted shot as well. Hands went on head, so I can only assume it didn't quite work out for him. Australia have just scored a number, I think, so they're now leading 5-0 after 3 ends of the men's triples match. Of course, the men's triples, multi-nations champions, beating Australia. A combination that included Aaron Tees in that men's triples final. This time it's still Chris Lee, Andrew Kelly, and Ali Forsyth, by this time against Barry Lester, Corey Wedlock, and Aaron Sheriff. Sheriff, a big addition, of course, as skip of that men's triple.
He certainly is, no doubt about that. One of the best players going around, up there with Alex Marshall of Scotland, as one of the best players in the world, no doubt about that. So we see the third bowl of Aaron Tees just go by the head. His first bowl, in fact, is shot.
So the Australians have brought the mat nearly all the way up. And the jack, as you can see there, placed on the tee, 2 metres from the ditch.
And Jamie Hill trying to get down to the jack. He's got 2 bowls sitting right in behind us. Still 3 good bowls from Jamie Hill all over the head. Only but by a few feet. We're looking right at, we can see on our monitor, and the head, in fact, is right out in front of us. The shot bowl, in fact, is about 10 inches in front, and of the jack, and the Jamie Hill bowls are about 2'6" and behind. So chance for Lawson, although 1 down. We see this bowl Aaron Wilson's breaking down towards the head now. He's going to run into the well-played bowl there. Ran into the shot bowl, turned it over, and it's turned it into two. There is a port down there for Wilson to draw.
Yeah, if he can get through, trail the jack through those two Jamie Hill bowls. He's going to do that. He's going to play on his backhand side. Try and come through a small window.
It's on its way, breaking down towards the head. Is it going to come back enough, quickly enough? He might get one out. He does get one out. And just the one down, as indicated by Jamie Hill. And Aaron Wilson will try and draw onto the back of the yellow Australian bolt to make two of it. Breaking down towards the head now. Looks as though that's exactly what he's going to do. And fell in. Jamie Hill straight away indicating that's two down. And we'll be with you live right throughout the day with the three matches, and hope that you enjoy this coverage that we're able to bring to you of the Trans-Tasman here today at Club Helensvale, and tomorrow at Musgrove Hill, and then at Broadbeach as we watch this Lawson bowl trying to get to the shot bowl just slightly under green. That will be second shot though.
Yeah, it certainly will. Pretty much jack level, that bowl of Gary Lawson. He's still got one up his sleeve, as does skipper of the Australian men's pair, Aaron Wilson, who's quickly back to the mat. He won't muck around. Knows what he wants to do, playing on the forehand side. It's the side of the rink which has seemingly been a bit more consistent, favoured by both players, playing the backhand on one side, forehand on the other. That was just going to slide past, not enough for the second shot, but a fair effort from Aaron Wilson. So Gary Lawson taking a long look at the head there, assessing what his options are. That short bowl of Aaron Wilson, pretty much in line with the jack on the centre line. That's the shot. Gary Lawson's burnt orange bowl. It's just out to the left of the previous pitcher. There's the second. So he needs to try and draw, if he can, inside that Aaron Wilson bowl.
Gary Lawson, of course, the winner of 2 world titles, 13 New Zealand titles. It's on its way, looking for the jack. He's just trying to get to the jack or the bowl. Just went feathered and went past it.
Yeah, so he went with the aggressive approach, trying to not just be happy with one, trying to grab 2 or possibly 3. Not far away, but just slid by. So one more to Australia. It's now 4-2. They lead after 4 of the 18 ends. This men's pairs, the first Trans-Tasman test here at Club Helensvale. We have women's 4s for you later this afternoon, New Zealand time. And then the development men's triples as well. Also, in an end or so, go around the boards and give you an update from not only the Blackjacks up against the Jackaroos, but also the over 60s and the development as well. So plenty of bowls happening. 12 matches all taking place at the same time. And we'll keep you up to date as good as we can of all of those 12.
So, good opening bowl by Aaron Tees on this, the 50 end. Jamie Hill's bowl, first bowl around about a metre short as we watch the Aaron Tees bowl. Second bowl playing down towards the jack and just went by it. Gary Lawson saying to his lead, Jamie Hill, you follow that up on your forehand. On its way, tall New Zealand player. Started playing bowls at Okahu Bay when he was about 10 years old, and he's played a good bowl here as Hill. If it falls in, it would be shot, or it may well be shot now. It's certainly close, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'd favour that over the T's bowl, but T's may change the situation here. Again, playing on the backhand. Looks like it's going to come under the line, maybe actually sit on his first shot bowl and turns it in. That might be enough for the shot, perhaps. A little bit of an embrace
Looks
with Aaron Wilson.
Close to between the New Zealand bowl and the yellow Australian Aaron T's bowl.
Playing with weight is Jamie Hill. He does land on his own bowl. So trying to actually be a bit narrower than that and get on those Australian bowls, but unfortunately landed on his own.
Well, the good thing is, of course, it did give us a back bowl by reaching with that weight, and no doubt Lawson will try to play on his forehand to try and dislodge the yellow bowl in the middle there. But Aaron Wilson, he had plenty to say about that. Very experienced medalist. He's done everything, this young fella, and very colourful player and a very quick player. And he watched this bowl. It sits and nearly sat on the Australian bowl, went through the port, but again, New Zealand need to be a wee bit careful here because we're getting into a position where we've got one bowl sitting on the head and amongst the three Australian bowls. So here's now Gary Lawson trying to play down to the Australian bowl or the jack. He has to be careful here. Ooh, well,
it's a toucher. So the spray comes out. We'll see if Tees gives an indication. He's saying that Australia are holding the shot. It was a fair effort from Gary Lawson.
Certainly was.
Still was only left one New Zealand bowler in the area. There's three Australian bowls nice and handy. So you can see what Wilson was trying to do there. Play with a bit of weight, knock away the Lawson bowl. He came a bit wide. Again, sat on that Jamie Hill bowl and the white bowls. So Lawson quickly underway with his second.
And if he does make contact, there's a good chance, of course, that his bowl would stay. Here it comes breaking into the head again. Looks on the wide side and will be just one, I would say, still to Australia.
Well, that's almost three identical bowls. First played by Jamie Hill, knocking away one of his own. Then Gary Lawson knocked away Jamie Hill's. Then Gary Lawson knocks away his own. They've just been on the wrong lines, just slightly.
Well, only half a bowl at the most, really, Brenton, isn't it? That's all that it is. So Lawson, he'll play again. And if he does happen to, fortunate enough, well, it is difficult to get the jack through the port where these other New Zealand bowls are sitting. Jamie Hill bowl there and Gary Lawson bowl, very difficult to.
No, the best bet is to try and sit on the shot bowl, isn't
Absolutely.
it?
Absolutely it is.
And that's what he's actually tried to do the last
twice.
Yeah, couple of bowls. And Jamie Hill, in fact, tried to do as well with his last. So Gary Lawson with the last bowl of this 15th. Needing to.
It's on a tighter line, this one. Is it going to get to that yellow Australian bowl and knock it out? It does, and that's New Zealand shot for sure. Well played by Gary Lawson. Moved the jack around.
So Australia forced to give up the mat to Jamie Hill. As New Zealand score another one. So 4-3 it is now after 5 of the 18 ends. And this men's pairs match on day one of the Trans-Tasman, the first Trans-Tasman test, opening round. Also have the men's triples in action, women's pairs, women's triples as well in this opening round.
So Gary Lawson was on target with each three bowls. He really beat him, wasn't he? He just, and it just took a while to get the right result, but he certainly was on target. And Jamie Hill has delivered the jack as we start the 6th of 18 ends. And his bowl just going past now is sitting behind the jack. And that's a pretty good opening bowl by the New Zealand lead. 4-3 Australia lead, 4-3 to Australia after 5 of 18 ends. And Alex Reid is out around the boards now, getting us the updates from all of the disciplines, including the over 60s and the development players teams. So we'll have all of those up-to-date results for you shortly, as we will right throughout the day. We'll have Alex will get those results, updates throughout the play this morning and this afternoon.
Yeah, of course, this is just one of 12 matches going on at the moment when you do have the over 60s and the development as well, all part of this Trans-Tasman series. First test match today, Club Helensvale. Head to Musgrave Hill tomorrow, a bit further south from here, and then back to Broadbeach, where we were for the final 2 days of the multi-nations for the third and potentially deciding test match, as Jamie Hill looks to draw back to the centre line. He's not going to finish too far away, just over a foot, almost jack level by the looks of our picture there. Giving a bit of a guide for Aaron Tees. Try and just play inside that and make his way to the jack, and he's going to do just that, is he? No, he's just going to slide by Aaron Tees.
The leads, both Tees and Jamie Hill, Brendan, very consistent right throughout these first 6 ends. Their bowls have been all in and around the jack, so they've got good control of the weight and the line, and makes it for good heads.
Yeah, I suppose, Kevin, this is actually probably the worst they've done so far of the 6 ends.
I agree.
And that's saying something because, like you say, the standards have been very good. But now this time it's given certainly more of an opening for Gary Lawson, who's the first of the skips to play. Has he got the weight right? No, he hasn't. Just finishing a metre short there. Maybe a bit more of the jack.
So, Aaron Tees trying to encourage this bowl in towards the head, and looks to be just going to drop inside for shot for sure. Definitely the shot bowl is the purple and white multicoloured bowl. And Lawson will follow that up on his forehand. Australia leading 4-3 as we play the 16th of 18. And the Lawson bowl now. It's breaking towards the head. How's the weight? Is it going to get all the way? Not quite. Was certainly on the line to get to the counting position.
I know Alex will be making his way back shortly, but I can update you from at least one of the other matches ongoing, and that's the men's triples. And it's all Australia at the moment over the multi-nations champions. 8-0. They are leading after 5 of the 18 ends in the men's triple. So that's the champion New Zealand triple of Chris Lalive, Andrew Kelly and Ali Forsyth up against Barry Lester, Corey Wedlock and Aaron Sheriff.
And New Zealand now in this pairs after that last bowl of Aaron Wilson's could actually now be 3 down because Wilson came across the head and actually sat on the Jamie Hill bowl. So if you look there, you can see the 2 purple and white coloured bowls, and then the yellow bowl in front. Lawson will be endeavouring to beat his own bowl on that forehand side, and that will either give him a shot or second shot as he's on his way now on the forehand. He certainly brought that line in, and how's that weight now as it's breaking down towards the jack. Always looked under the line, always looked narrow when it left, and it was. Of course, that's just my thoughts of what the number is at this stage. We're looking through the monitor, not actually at the head itself, and it can be a completely different view.
You're looking live. Maybe the Jamie Hill bowl is number 3. It's certainly from the picture here.
2 was the indication.
And there you go. There we go. And that's exactly right. I think that Jamie Hill bowl, which is the white bowl out to the left of screen, just near these purple and white bowls of Aaron Wilson, is the 3rd. But Aaron Wilson may change this as he's going to come in, and happy with that. High fives all round. So expect that is a 3. And that 3 signalled by Aaron Tees. So Australia jump out to a 4-shot advantage. 7-3 it is after 6 now of the 18 ends, so we're a third of the way through, racing through this first match of this Trans-Tasman test. Just had a message from Alex Reid as well, who's our roving reporter going around the greens. And the open men's triples is, gave you that update earlier, so it's 8-0 after 5 ends. And the women's triples, that is the women's triple of Selena Goddard, Val Smith and Caitlin Inch, the skip. They are currently 3-2 up after 4. And the women's pairs are 7-1 down after 4. That's the women's pair of Taylor Bruce and Joe Edwards. And the men's development and the triples, it is 5-4 down after 5. The men's development pairs 10-3 down after 5. And the women's development triples, it's 6-4 down after 4. And the women's development pairs 4-1 up after 5. And to the over 60s, men's triples 2-3 down after 5. The over 60s men's pairs 5-2 down after 4. And the over 60s women's triples 7-1 up over after 5. And the over 60s women's pairs 9-2 down after 5. So that's bringing you up to date from the latest from all 12 matches here in this opening session of the first Trans-Tasman test.
As we look out on this head now, and we can see that it's Australia again holding the shot, and holding a couple, in fact.
So thank you very much, Alex Reid, for heading around the greens for us to give us an update. And he'll continue to do that for us throughout the day, throughout the 3 days of this Trans-Tasman series, as the skips change over, make their way to the mat, and certainly Aaron Tees, who's got the better of Jamie Hill this time, holding at least one, probably two. Bowl just to the past the jack, and the one just short. As already into his work is Aaron Wilson, again coming on this backhand side, trying to add to the count and looking like he will do just that. It should be 3.
Got on a bit of a string at the moment, has Wilson. He's played the last 3 bowls have all been very, very good draw shots, putting pressure, of course, on the New Zealand combination. And we have to see Lawson play with weight to get up to these bowls, and he gets the front bowl and got rid of some things, but still 2 down. He got feathered off a front bowl, and we're starting to watch this on the monitor.
Replay of this one. It looked always a touch narrow, and it was just a touch narrow as it feathered off the front bowl and knocked away one of the Australian bowls. Also knocked away the wide Jamie Hill bowl that did sit out to the right. So there's still those 2 Australian bowls, one of Aaron Tees, one of Aaron Wilson, sitting very handy to the jack. Aaron Wilson is looking to make it a 3 once more as he comes in on that backhand side, looking on a good track once more. Is it going to sit right on the jack? A near toucher from Aaron Wilson, continuing to pile the pressure on his opposite, Gary Lawson.
Superb bowling by the Australian skip. It's now 4 or 5 bowls that he's drawn in the last consecutive bowls, virtually right on the jack. Lawson on the drive, going to get the outside, got the jack.
Yeah, it's a good result. That should have been the kill, so we should see the jack respotted right here on the tee, and that's where Aaron Tees does. And there's a white bowl just out to the left. That's Jamie Hill bowl, and that will be the shot for New Zealand. So a great bowl that was from Gary Lawson. Much needed. Australia were piling on the pressure, and Gary Lawson got rid of the 3 shots Australia held, and now it's forcing it onto final bowl shootout to draw it to the tee between himself and Aaron Wilson. Wilson first underway. Looks on a pretty decent track here. Already clapped by Aaron Tees. And look at this. It's going to be a near toucher again from Aaron Wilson. He mentioned before, Kevin, he's got it on a string. He certainly does, not only with the shorter length, but the longer length all the way to the tee.
He's just showing, how good he is. And, he's now drawn, as I say, 5 or 6 bowls just the mere centimetres of the jack. And, that's the sign we all know a real class player, and that he is. As we watch now Gary Lawson trying to get down to the shot bowl or jack and not to be, and goes past, and that will be a 1 to Australia.
Yeah, 8-3 it is now after 7 of the 18 ends in this men's pairs in the first phase of this first Trans-Tasman Test here at Club Helensvale. This is one of 12 matches which are ongoing. And we include, as well as the Blackjacks taking on the Jackaroos, we have the 2 development sides meeting, and also the over 60s, all part of this Trans-Tasman Test. It's an absolute feast of bowls, which we'll keep you updated with.
And a big welcome to my former colleague, the voice of bowls, Stu Scott, who I had the pleasure of working with for many years on radio. Well, might have even been Sports Roundup, Radio Sport and Sports Roundup. And Stu now an avid golfer. But I know yesterday sat at home in Wellington and they had the cricket on the laptop and the bowls watching on the TV set. So great to have you watching, Scotty. Welcome, trust all's well, and we look forward to catching up with you in the not too distant future. Stu Scott, one of the great sports commentators, as we watch. Aaron Tees are really applying. This is where the mental toughness now comes in, Brendan, doesn't it? Because what do we do? You've got Australians are really, really dominating. We've got to get the mat. We've got to get things changed around. We've got to score. It becomes really tough.
Yeah, you've just got to be patient, don't you? You've got to try and, you can't go for the home run every time.
No, you certainly cannot.
You've got to say, okay, good bowl from Aaron Tees. We can't remove that. Just draw the second. Draw the second.
You work on the principle that, our turn will come, so to speak, and the players are good enough for that to happen. But the Australians right now are just, they've got the jack, at will. They've got the length they like, and they're drawing continuously right to the jack, and that puts pressure on bowl after bowl. As you watch this bowler, Jamie Hill's going to go past on the wide side now. All of a sudden, New Zealand have got 1 bowler a metre away, and the other 2 bowls, one in fact might even be in the ditch.
It just fell in front of the ditch, so it's still in play by about a couple of inches. So if that jack has moved all the way back, or if it goes into the ditch, that could be a handy bowl of Jamie Hill, but certainly was what Gary Lawson was asking. I think he was asking for something more around the tee.
Yeah, I think so. And this is now where, Lawson's really got to, not that he doesn't, but he's really, really got to knuckle down and say, right, we're going to make sure that if we're going to drop anything here, we're only going to drop a 1, and let's start again. Our turn, the back end of the game, because this has been the 8th end, so we're nearly at the halfway mark, and we trust that you're enjoying this coverage that we're bringing of the live Trans-Tasman action here at Club Helensvale. Here's Lawson on the drive, and goes through. You can see New Zealand are having to attack to get out of trouble, sort of end after end after end. The last 4 ends or 3 ends they've had to do this.
Yeah, so with Jamie Hill having that back bowl, that was the approach to try and take the jack all the way back to the ditch, as well as getting rid of the shot bowl. He missed with the first.
Another counter there by Aaron Wilson, sat on the Aaron Tees bowl. And so Gary Lawson, now do I draw, do I drive? In between, shots becomes a real challenge.
If he can sit on the yellow bowl, which is just to the right of and past the jack, that should be the second, but he's going to play with weight again, try and get rid of the shot bowl. This one looks online. It's going to bring the jack. I think it was killed, so the jack should be respotted again. Or is it in the ditch? Yeah, it is coming back. So it's been killed, so it's been brought back to the tee, where Australia have the tee.
And two shots, in fact, one would think. Definitely one shot.
Two.
Two was the call.
Thank you, Mr. Tees.
Yeah, he, as Aaron Wilson play his third bowl. And we've seen him, as Brenton commented, we just made a comment before, he's been sitting on the jack the last 3 ends, bowl after bowl after bowl. That one's more than likely, that won't be in the count. It's gone by a metre.
So now Gary Lawson with his last after playing with weight for his first 2 bowls. Looking to just try and draw in between these 2 yellow bowls. Inside the wide bowl on the left, that'll make it the second and cut it to 1. Otherwise, if we can get inside the short bowl, which is the shot bowl at the moment, we can grab it for New Zealand and grab the jack and the mat back as well.
So he's got a metre literally to draw the shot because that mat, of course, is up. So here's Lawson on the backhand, playing down, trying to either get onto the Jamie Hill bowl or just come past it for shot. It's going to have to stop. It's got a lot of weight on it. It's got too much weight on for shot. It will be too far. And it will be 2 more. That's really an end then that New Zealand 1 shot would have been ideal. 8-4. We now go to 10-3.
Yeah, big end that was. Wasn't able to draw inside those 2 Australian bowls. So after 8 now of the 18 ends, in a commanding position, the Australian combination of Aaron Wilson skip and Aaron Tees the lead over Gary Lawson and Jamie Hill.
I see that New Zealand triples have actually obviously scored. They got the mat. I see this first bowl being played by Crystal Lee, so New Zealand must have opened their account.
Yeah, they've scored a couple, in fact, over the last 2 ends. So 8-2. They now trail Australia after 7 of the 18 ends, and that means triples.
So the opening bowl being played by Aaron Tees, slightly short, and Jamie Hill got it well played. He took that opportunity. Aaron Tees left a bit of room after the first bowl, and we saw Jamie Hill draw it just down towards the jack and sits just slightly higher the jack. And this bowl of Tees looks as though it's going to run on the narrow side, and it is. Good weight, but definitely narrow outside the centre line. So Jamie Hill, here's a chance to at least for New Zealand to hold a couple in this early stages of the 9th end. It's coming down towards the head now. That's another good bowl from Jamie Hill. Won't be it's counter, but it's in and around.
Yeah, so Aaron Wilson is calling for Aaron Tees to try and draw in between those 2 short bowls, one of his own and one of Jamie Hill's. The wide white bowl looks narrow again, though. It's going to come in between his previous and the jack, going behind the head.
So Lawson now saying to Jamie Hill, change to your forehand, change, just drift inside that yellow bowl and endeavour to get a counting bowl. Looks to be on the quick side. Is it going to go by the jack? Well, more than likely it's at jack level. And
should be 2, I'd say.
I think that will make 2. Look quick halfway up, but just did draw weight, so just sat alongside the jack.
Yeah, and a rear win for Jamie Hill over Aaron Tees in the battle of the leads.
Oh, well, perhaps, as we spoke about Brenton, the second half might be New Zealand's half. That it can happen. So here's Wilson. He's looking for the jack straight away, gets his own bowl.
And knocks away the second. That first Jamie Hill bowl remains in place, but knocked away that pesky front bowl and got away that last Jamie Hill bowl, which we think was the second shot. Now, Gary Lawson trying to re-establish the count for New Zealand. We're holding 2. Can he add a second here, add to that Jamie Hill bowl? Is he going to come inside the Australian bowl? No, he's not, unfortunately. Just going to run into it. Stop there.
another bowl on the head for New Zealand, which is good. But I'm sure we'll see, we're going to see Aaron Wilson again. He'll reach up, trying to get on the backhand to get to the shot bowl or a touch on the jack. A drag on the jack back to his yellow bowl, just in behind the head. Here it comes. Watch this bowler, Wilson's, and he's done it again. And 2 down is the call from
Jamie Hill. So that yellow bowl just left of pitcher, pretty much jack level as the second after Aaron Wilson just sat on the previous shot bowl of Jamie Hill to draw the shot, forcing Gary Lawson to respond. This is going to run into the short stuff again. In fact, it's going to knock that second Australian bowl a bit closer. So it still remains 2 down New Zealand, 2 up Australia on this 9th end of 18 men's pairs. First phase of this first Trans-Tasman test.
So Aaron Wilson, again, this looks pretty good as well, Brendan, as he ducks towards the jack, and another touch-up from the Australian skip. He's certainly, well, he's put on a master display, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been brilliant. This time, the end wasn't well set up by Aaron Tees in comparison to some of the others, but it wasn't necessary as he's just played off the bowls that were there, and now Australia in a commanding position as Gary Lawson plays his last. Australia holding 3. So Lawson forced to play with weight, and he's going to find the gap. And New Zealand's going to drop another number. And it looks like it's going to be 3. Aaron Tees quickly signals, I believe. So 3 more for Australia. In control here. Now a 10-shot lead. Halfway through, well, this men's pairs first phase match of the Trans-Tasman, 13-3 they lead.
What we saw then was the 3 of Aaron Wilson's bowls, he changed the head with every one of his 3 bowls. Either touched the jack, drew the shot, and then he ended up drawing a toucher, rested the bowl out, and it just highlights the class of players like Aaron Wilson. And, the Trans-Tasman, like the Bledisloe Cup, is to the Australians, it's a big event, and they come out firing, and they've done that this morning.
Yeah, certainly have. It's really, as we saw when you heard the scores earlier, Australia in control of most of the matches, well across all disciplines, across not only the high performance squads, but also the development and the over 60s as well. All part of this first Trans-Tasman test. In fact, all 3 test matches.
But of course, we've just got to, it's there's plenty of time, there's plenty of games, I should say. So you just got to put whatever happens in this first round, put it behind you, and
you make it an uphill battle, though.
Oh, certainly are. Yeah, certainly are.
It's difficult to come back, especially if you only pick up a couple of the 12 matches, which at the moment it's looking like obviously only halfway through this men's pairs match. A lot of the other matches yet to reach the halfway stage yet. Of course, this would be one of the quicker matches you would think when you got Aaron Tees and Aaron Wilson. Pretty quick, as is Jamie Hill. Gary Lawson's not exactly slow, but will be the slowest of the quartet.
He would be the slowest of the 4s. Watch this bowler, Jamie Hill's now breaking towards the head, going to get inside to the jack. That's a good response from Jamie Hill. 2 down on the head, drifted in and drew the shot. In fact, a toucher and laying 2 shots. And no doubt, I can see there's a port there between the Australian bowl and the Jamie Hill bowl. I'm sure we're going to see Aaron Wilson. He'll be playing with that reaching weight that he controlled reaching weight that he plays, trying to get down to the shot bowl.
Yeah, look how quickly he is on the man. He already knew what he wanted to play by the time he got there. Grabbed the bowl, knocks away the shot bowl, and it comes off the second. Brilliant again from Aaron Wilson. He's putting on an absolute clinic as the Australian skip.
That's just magnificent. But he's just changing things around bowl by bowl by bowl, and outstanding display by the young Australian skip. As Gary Lawson down on the hit again, trying to draw to save, and he's going to sail by, and 2 down. And as you said, Brenton, Aaron Wilson is just, it's a masterclass, isn't it? Here's an unusual wide draw from Aaron Wilson, which I don't think will count. That won't. So it's still 2 to Australia, who are leading, of course, by 13 shots to 3. And Lawson now changing hand, playing on his forehand, trying to get the jack. Or well, I'm not really sure.
I think if he was trying to go through the gap here, trail the jack back to the white Jamie Hill bowl, I think was what he was trying to do, but just got a bit narrow.
I just wonder whether we'd best just to try and play on that draw and turn the Jamie Hill bowl into the head. It's about scoring 1 is what New Zealand need to get the mat. And Aaron Wilson, he's gone wide again, but he's going to the back. It's more of a cover shot, I suppose, after the weight that Gary Lawson played with his second bowl. And I personally would like to see Lawson, as we're seeing now, play down on that draw side, trying to get to the Jamie Hill bowl, turn the Jamie Hill bowl in for shot, which he's got a chance of doing here, or get the jack, and he's done just what we spoke about and drawn the shot.
Brilliant from Gary Lawson. So Kevin Hickland was calling for it from the previous bowl, but he's done it with his last. Maybe he always knew he had that up his sleeve. He'll try and go for the 2 shots if he can. If it doesn't work, then go for the, I suppose, the more safe call. Just try and pick up the 1, and that's what he's done. And it's a long overdue 1. The first they've scored.
Well, that's the last end New Zealand scored on, in fact, was the fifth end where they scored a single, and then after that we've seen a 3, a 1, a 2 and a 3 in the Australian way. So, you know, yes, you're right, Brenton, well overdue that single. So Jamie Hill now, you look now, Brenton, the mat is right back on the 2 metre mark, and the jack has been delivered right to the 2 metre mark as well. So
full length head,
and Jamie Hill has responded with drawing very close to the jack with his first bowl on this, the 11th of 18 ends.
Yeah, actually looked a bit better than it actually is from that previous camera angle. Not quite on the jack as it looked like, actually a bit short, as we now see that first from Aaron Tees, just slipping past the head.
So we're relying, of course, but we're on the monitor, and we're actually quite some distance away from where they're playing 3 rinks out from where we are, but we can then get it all on the monitor in front of us as I watch this second Jamie Hill bowl, trying to get up to beat that first, but it's going to drift under the head and won't go really anywhere.
Yeah, Aaron Wilson right in the way of our camera. That's why we're unable to bring you exactly what the picture of the head is.
Yeah, he's covered.
He's getting some shade.
Yeah, he's now on the move. Thank you, Aaron. As we watch now, Jamie Hill.
There we go, a clear sight now of the head from our camera down that end of the green. So we'll play in this direction this morning, and then we'll change and go from north to south, south to north.
So a little touch on the bowl of Jamie Hill's. New Zealand holding 1, the bowl of Jamie Hill's, and that's 3, arc of 3, and we see Aaron Tees, in fact, is going to play up, trying to get through the port, in fact, to the jack. Looks to be on the narrow side, might clip a New Zealand bowl here. He goes by, but straight away not frightened to attack Brenton, are they? You know, we're up 13-4, we're 1 down on the head, we've got the back bowls, let's see what we can do. So,
oh, exactly right, and that's the thing, knowing that New Zealand don't have any bowls beyond the head, they can attack with some confidence. And also Aaron Tees knowing that his colleague skip. Aaron Wilson's playing very high level at the moment and has 3 bowls up his sleeve. Gary Lawson, first of the skips to play on this, the 11th end of 18. First phase of this first Trans-Tasman Test. Men's pairs action coming to you from Club Helensvale. And as you can see with the flags in the background as well, bit of breeze coming across the green, which will be welcomed by the players. Not so much of that yesterday. It'll be another hot day here on the greens for all involved.
Certainly, it was warm yesterday at Broad Beach yesterday afternoon, that's for sure. It was sizzle stuff, in fact. As we watch, here he comes again, does Wilson, and look at this, Brendan. He's drawn the shot yet again.
Yeah, somehow found a way past the short bowls on the forehand side there of Jamie Hill. Yeah, enough to fall in for the shot.
See those flags behind us here by the roadside, fluttering. Here's Lawson playing his bowl, definitely one down, trying to get up with weight to turn something into the head, but he's on that narrow side and is not going to get anything on the way through. And he needs, the key thing for New Zealand is to score on consecutive ends, whether it's a one or it doesn't matter what it is, it's about trying to score on consecutive ends. They need to do. Aaron Wilson, as Brendan said, he doesn't muck around. You see, he drew with his first bowl around the front Jamie Hill bowl, and he's going to do the same again, but just go by the head, but still very handy. And again, I think New Zealand are forced into the situation of trying to get up to turn a bowl into the head.
I think he gesturing there, Gary Lawson. He's going to play with a bit of weight. Either he runs into the front ones and promotes them, or maybe he's able to trail the jack back with, looks like New Zealand have the back bowl.
So Lawson back to the mat. Definitely one down to that Aaron Wilson bowl.
Very deliberate on the mat, taking his time, and here comes the drive. Has he got the line right? No, he hasn't. And he turned his back on that pretty quickly, Gary Lawson. I think Aaron Tees may give us an indication here exactly. I think he gave a, did he say 2?
Say 2, yeah.
He's put his fingers up very quickly and were a bit obscured by his body. Needs this to hurry along. Is it going to come around that front bowl? It is again, and look at that. It's going to sit right on his previous one. High five between the two Aarons, because that's, well, we think 2, maybe 3.
These two boys, well, especially Aaron Wilson, he's been, again, that end. He, again, Wilson, 2 out of 3 bowls and drew the shot and didn't have a lot of room to draw, and he just drew around the front bowls and drew, and we're just checking whether it was
2 or 3.
2 or 3. We're just waiting to get an indication on the scoreboard.
So it was 2. Thank you very much, Ben. Scoreboard obscured from us here. Certainly looked from it too for the picture, but we thought we might have seen Aaron T signal the 2.
He normally does. He's normally pretty good. Normally.
He's pretty helpful for us commentators, for
yes,
sure.
He's normally pretty good. So he's opened up and drawn right alongside the jack, has Aaron Tees on this, the 12th of 18 ends. As we watch the Jamie Hill bowl break down towards the head, trying to get to the jack as well. Just going to fall jack low. We'll see. Still is Aaron Tees bowl, which is shot.
As you can see, the men's triples going on right next door to the men's pairs. 2 pretty decent first bowls. Aaron Tees' second just runs past the jack. Still in play. About a metre and a half from the ditch, maybe 2.
So Jamie Hill just needs the weight to get up to the yellow Australian bowl right on the centre line. Just going to drop past it, not to beat. And remembering, of course, this afternoon we have the women's fours. Will be the second game which we will bring live. And then we will have the development triples as the third game that we'll be bringing live this afternoon.
As at 3 p.m. New Zealand time women's fours and 6 p.m. the development men's triples. So make sure you join us for those as well.
Great bowl here from Tees. Look at this, just draws right in front of the jack. 4 bowls sitting there now, all within, well, a couple of feet. Gary Lawson saying, well, what do we do here? I think the best shot is Lawson's indicating to come down on the backhand to try and reach through the Australian bowls. It's got to come back to the middle line. It's coming back now. It's a good attempt here by Jamie Hill to get to the jack, and in fact he did get to the jack. Just feathered off it slightly and just rolled the jack in between the 2 Australian bowls.
Yeah, unfortunate there.
Boy, that's difficult to get at. That's very, very difficult to get at now, those 2.
Yeah, a bit of a sigh there from Jamie Hill. That couldn't have really turned out worse, unfortunately. It was a great effort. He wasn't far away, but the jack just fell closer to those 2 Australian bowls, and now it's going to be very difficult to access.
Well, hard to get to them on either hand, actually, Brendan, because you've got the bowls there just in front, and then whether you would get enough swing on the forehand side to get down to there. As we see Aaron Wilson on the backhand, he'll stay away from here, I imagine. We're not going to give Gary Lawson any shoulders to get an opportunity.
Alex has been around the greens again, so I'll give you an update at the end of this end and see what the situation is. We'll wait till the skips have played their bowls on this 12th of 18 ends. Big thank you to Alex for making his way around all the rinks.
So Gary Lawson flipped the mat over. This gives me the opinion that he's going to come with weight on the backhand. Turn the mat over. On the mat, on the launching pad, and it is full-blooded drive. But I often say things about Gary Lawson and missing drives, but I noticed yesterday and again today, his driving has certainly not been up to the normal high standard of Gary Lawson. Swinging away under the head very quickly, whether he's trying to go too fast or his arms coming across the front of his body too quickly, thus getting it. It's like playing golf. It'll just swing away from you. So here we go. I'm sure we'll see Lawson drive again, trailing 15-4. He's not. He's trying to play with that reaching weight to the 2 yellow bowls. This is a really difficult shot. This is a really hard shot. It's got to be judged within centimetres, still 2 down. And Aaron Wilson won't be trying to draw any more shots here because it's no heads impossible to get out of, as we saw yesterday with Karen Murphy in the final of the women's pairs when she was 5 down, in fact. And not only did she reduce the count, she actually had a bowl roll around all over the place and get the shot. So you can never actually say that it's safe, but boy, this one here, this is really difficult to get at, to get enough swing to get down to the yellow bowls. Personally now, I think that he has to drive, and he drives the centre there with the Jamie Hill bowl in the middle. Aaron Wilson bowl has fattened things up, so to speak, on the drive, and that drive could just take everything out of the head, and that Jamie Hill bowl could actually finish up shot.
So, talking about that bowl, which is right in the centre line, the Jamie Hill white bowl, if you can get pretty much the outside of that?
Get the inside of the Aaron Wilson bowl, let's say if he hits the purple marking there, that would just about take those 2 bowls out clean, and Jamie Hill's bowl could stay there.
So an important bowl, this, on the 12th of 18 ends. He's your men's pair in a bit of a hole. Looks like this is going to come narrow. Is it going to get anything? It's going to knock out both the Australian bowls, in fact. So came under. Didn't know that was possible. and it has worked out brilliantly. So New Zealand's got the mat, and have they picked up one? Looks like one shot to New Zealand. So 15-5 now after 12 of the 18 ends in this men's pairs. First phase of the Trans-Tasman Test, an opportunity to bring you up to date with the other matches as well. First in the Open men's triples, New Zealand down 9-5 after 10 ends. In the Open women's triples, New Zealand also down 10-5. In the Open women's pairs, New Zealand's down 9-6. And to the developments, the men's triples down 11-7 after 11. The men's pairs in development are down 15-6 after 10. The women's triples are up 9-8 after 9. And the women's pairs are down 11-7 after 10. And to the over 60s, the men's triples trailing 8-3 after 9 ends. And the men's pairs, they are leading after 8 ends 7-5 to the women's triples. They are leading 9-5 after 8. And the women's pairs, very one-sided at the moment, 18-3 after 9 of the 18 ends. So that's brought you up to date in the situation there across all 12 Trans-Tasman tests. And so far, New Zealand are only leading in 3 of the 12, and through all 3 they're leading at only slender margins as well. So far, it's been Australia's morning here at Club Helensvale. A lot of work for New Zealand to do in this first phase if they're to try and even the ledger, or get even close to even the ledger.
Well, because it's important that things do improve, Brendan. But we know that Australia, one of our real rival, as I watched Jamie Hill trying to get down to the jack here, and he is going to get a touch on the jack. Gary Lawson said be up, and he was, and still one down though. And yeah, our Trans-Tasman rivals, this is always the big clash, of course, and not only at the Trans-Tasman, but the World Championships, Asia Pacific, and of course it's not that long ago at the Asia Pacific Championships where New Zealand, certainly Shannon McElroy and Mike Kernahan are unavailable for this particular event, and Wendy Jensen and Kirsten Edwards, who were in that Asia Pacific side. So it's not that long ago when the New Zealand team fired pretty well over here on the Gold Coast at the Asia Pacific. So it's important that selectors, the high performance people, they get to work and try and sort things out, because improvement is certainly going to be imperative.
Yeah, of course, there'll be another Trans-Tasman in the new year, in early February.
So watch Gary Lawson, that would be the shot, drew the shot. Aaron Tees, very obliging, he straight away indicated to Aaron Wilson. We are one down, 15-4 Australia lead, 15-4 after 12 of 18 ends. 15-5, my apologies, 15-5 as we watch this bowl of Aaron Wilson, and this looks like this shot again, Brendan, and it will be.
And it falls into, Jamie Hill indicates, now New Zealand's one down.
So Lawson needs to try and draw through the bowl and endeavour to get to the jack. There's a jack trail on for a couple, but it has to get under, as you can see, which he's trying to do, to get under this Australian bowl to get to the jack. And he all but got that. He was desperately unlucky. And of course that'll make it 2 down now, because he also moved his own bowl, which was the second shot. He moved that bowl out of the head. And I'm sure we'll see Wilson. He'll be more intent now on coming to the back, now that they're holding 2 and leading by 15-5 as we play that. Come to the back end of the 13th end. Gary Lawson, really, it's the only shot he's got on to try and play through that port, try and get to the jack. It's on the back end.
He drew a lovely toucher with his first bowl. It's what he has to do again.
And it's on its way. Is the Lawson bowl, needs to get cleanly under this Australian bowl and get that and sit and make shot.
Yeah, so and then it didn't need to come through cleanly. It got a bit of a glance. It actually helped it.
Yeah.
It went on to the Aaron Wilson bowl to then grab shot. So maybe a bit of fortune there for Lawson. Working out well.
Just the slightest little feather that he got. And I see New Zealand in the men's triples holding two very good shots over there. Crystal Eve bowls, I see, sitting right alongside the jack in the men's triples.
Yeah, New Zealand with control of the mat there, I believe. So they've brought it up nice and short, which they've obviously had a lot of success with in their final against Australia yesterday in the multi-nations. And this is going to run into the short ones for Aaron Wilson. So there's one more for New Zealand on the 13th end of 18 in this men's pairs. First phase of the Trans-Tasman Test. It's now 15-6. Australian combination of Aaron Wilson and Aaron Tees leading Gary Lawson and Jamie Hill.
Of course, what we've seen, the changing factor of this game is that four ends 6, 7, ends 6, 7, 8 and 9 when we saw Australia score 2 threes, a 2 and a 1. In fact, 9 shots over that period. Went from 7-3 to 13-3, and that was we saw when the ends. Those are the ends where Aaron Wilson had it completely on a string and was drawing touches, moving the jack, doing everything. And there wasn't a lot that Gary Lawson could do about it because he was always on the defence, trying to attack to defend type scenario. So, and that was that little block there of nine shots over those four ends. So here's now Jamie Hill played his first bowl, and it's going to pull up short.
Yeah, well short. That's just a bit deceiving with the shorter end, but that's a good 2 metres short of the jack. Aaron Tees will want to come in well inside that with his first.
I see, just looking over quickly at that rink in front of us, Brendan, I see that's 3 New Zealand bowls all nestled around the jack. And Aaron Sheriff just have a drive and went past. There's 3 good bowls, one from Forsyth, one from Kelly, one from Relief, just all sitting around the jack.
Yeah, trying to work out how to keep those 3 there and try and deny Aaron Sheriff for the second. Another short bowl from Jamie Hill, hands on hips, teapot, won't be happy with that, nor will Gary Lawson, because Aaron Tees was short as well with his first, but you'd back him on here to be in and around the jack.
So Gary Lawson quickly saying to Jamie Hill, as Brendan rightly said, that he wouldn't be short again. Aaron Tees and draws in behind the jack right on the centre line.
He's actually a good couple of feet past the jack, despite the picture seemingly making like he's right on it, but looking live. There's Jamie Hill, this much better bowl. He's going to be enough for shot. That's the shot of the moment. He's just past the jack high.
So we'll see now. Aaron Sheriff, he missed that drive again. So here comes the Aaron Tees bowl trying to get to the Jamie Hill bowl, which is the shot, and comes up short. So we skips change over as we play in 14 of 18, with Australia leading 15-6, 15-6.
Difficult to tell whether that is the shot or not. Obviously, looking at the picture certainly would favour the Tees bowl, but looking live, it's a bit closer.
Yeah, it's hard to tell off the camera view of the. So we watch Lawson trying to get down to that bowl of Aaron Tees, or get the jack, and he's going to sit the bowl out clean, and indications, what Aaron Tees indicate. I'm sure that's New Zealand got the shot. Surely the Lawson bowl, it may not be the way how Lawson's playing this bowl.
Yeah, I think that yellow Tees bowl would be the shot bowl. Rare miss.
Rare miss from
Aaron Wilson.
And it certainly was. Get really near that.
Yeah, we're surprised because there's been very, very few of them. That might only be the the second or third bowl, he hasn't delivered to where he exactly wanted it. He's had it that much on a string. Gary Lawson, way under the line.
Well, that certainly indicates New Zealand are one down with that weight that was played by Lawson, trying to play with weight to either his own bowl or to get down, Brenton, to the yellow Australian bowl, the Aaron Tees bowl, and move that out of the head. As we watch now, Aaron Wilson play his second, and is he going to get under the bowl? No, he's not. He just flops onto his own first bowl. And for New Zealand to score here, Gary Lawson has to either get his own bowl a turnover on it or push the Aaron Tees bowl through the head. Indication is New Zealand are one down. As we watch Lawson on its way, looks tight. It is tight. And going to run under the head. So that would appear that would be one to Australia.
Yeah, still with one bowl to play for Aaron Wilson.
See now, it definitely looks like one when we look there. So Aaron Wilson.
Well, as you said, just the way that Gary Lawson was playing, the way Aaron Wilson's playing, Australia are holding the shot. Is Aaron Wilson able to add to the count with his third, playing on this backhand side? Is he able to pick the way through the hole while he managed to promote the Australia bowl? And there's one more to Australia. And now will be Aaron Tees taking back the mat for Australia. 16-6 they now lead after 14 of 18 ends. This men's pairs matchup. First phase of the first Trans-Tasman Test here at Club Helensvale. I'll bring you up to date in a couple of ends' time of how the other matches are going on around the rinks here. Certainly in our last report, Australia leading 9 of the 12, of course, across not just open but also development and over 60s. And the majority of those matchups that Australia were leading were quite convincingly, although just in front of us after New Zealand picked up a number in the men's triples and now leading. So I think they were down 8-0.
8-0 they were down, definitely.
Yeah, and now 11-9. They are leading. Can't see how many ends they've played there in the men's triples, but certainly scoreboard showing the men's triple, of course, picked up New Zealand's only gold of the multi-nations. Chris Lalive, Andrew Kelly and Ali Forsyth now leading Barry Lester, Corey Wedlock and Aaron Sheriff 11-9.
It's a great comeback by that triple side. It's a very strong Australian side which they're up against, and great comeback by the New Zealand triple. As we go back to the pairs and see that again, Aaron Tees deceit the Jamie Hillbowl slide past. Aaron Tees will be holding 2 shots, and the New Zealand lead bowls are what I would call scattered. So Wilson saying to Aaron Tees, I don't care if you get to these back bowls, doesn't have to be a counter, get down to the back. That's exactly what he's doing. And Gary Lawson indicated to get up to the jack. It's on its way. Gary Lawson's keen on this one as it breaks down towards the head. And it sails through as well.
It wasn't far away though. You can see exactly what he's trying to do. Trail the jack back to his first 2 bowls, but it's left Gary Lawson with some work to do as he wasn't quite able to execute.
I just saw then quickly Ali Forsyth down on the head, drove, got the jack in the ditch, and the jack sits right underneath the number, and Ali Forsyth's bowl just sits mere centimetres away from the jack. So I just heard the yell. I looked up and saw the jack disappearing.
So looking good for the men's triple. Could come from behind result on the offing for them as they pick up another. So can't again see how many ends have been played, but 12-9. They are now leading Australia in the men's triples.
So again, here's Gary Lawson. He's 3 down. and trying to get to the bowl of the jack, and now we're running it. That's most uncharacteristic sort of play, really, trying to run it, the beer jack, as I'd call it.
So they're an end behind, so they've played 13 ends, Kevin, in the men's triples. New Zealand leading 12-9.
It's a good comeback from the New Zealand side. And Aaron Wilson, look, again, he's just drawn another one, and doesn't really have to get close. All Lawson needs to, must do, is try and reduce, because I'm sure he's down 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, trying to go for jack bowl, sit on the bowl. Well, he sat on one of the bowls for sure, but of course all that did was took one out and leave more room for Aaron Wilson to draw another one. And it's virtually odds on that New Zealand will be 4 down in but a moment when Gary Lawson goes to play his last. He's going to prove me wrong because he's going to go past, but definitely 3. Fell in. So Lawson really needs to draw here. Draw to save. Just simply can't drop a 3 or 4. And here he is on the backhand draw. And again, looks as though it's on that narrow side, and it is. Sit on this bowl. It'll sit on the bowl. By goodness gracious, and that makes shot.
Oh, that's very fortunate there. Australia absolutely dictating terms on that end. And Gary Lawson able to get a nice glancing blow off the short one. But, yeah, he won't celebrate that one because he knows that was lucky. So...
yeah, that was lucky because it was definitely low underneath the head. It was going away, not in towards the head. So we'll just take the one and move on.
And after 15 of the 18 ends now, Australia 16, New Zealand 7. So still a glimmer of hope for Gary Lawson and Jamie Hill, although ends fast running out.
Yeah, well, I suppose what we could say, Brendan, on the morning session for the men, if the triples were able to maintain that their little lead that they've got, it's a buffer. Well, it's a good start, and I can see New Zealand are holding the shot again on the head over there in the triples. So back to the 16-7 as we play the 16th end here in this men's pairs at round 1 of the Trans-Tasman here at Club Helensvale. For those who don't know where Club Helensvale is, it's from Surfers Paradise. It's about 30 minutes up on the highway up towards Brisbane, and it's a beautiful location here. 3 greens and a large club, normal Australian style club, big club, and of course it is the home of so many of the top Australian bowlers, the likes of from here, Nathan Rice, Aaron Sheriff, and Lindsay Clark. There's a number of the leading players who are all based here at Helensvale. And New Zealand holding the shot. Jamie Hill's second bowl drew just in front of the jack and will be shot as plays his last bowl, his third and last. On this, the 16th end, New Zealand definitely holding 1. And
fair effort again from Jamie Hill. Might get the spray out as Gary Lawson wants to. Not quite going to, though. Close as you can get without being a toucher from Jamie Hill.
Well, not being critical, but that's really the first 2 really close bowls that we've seen from Jamie Hill for more than likely about the 50 end. So, you know, it's good to see him back in the game, 16-7.
Yeah, early on it was looking all right for New Zealand after 5 ends, only 4-3 down, but then Australia went on a scoring spree and it became 15-4.
Yes, certainly they did. That's when, as you said before, Brent, the Aaron Wilson just hit on a string. He was doing everything. So here's now Gary Lawson changing over, holding the shot. It doesn't happen very often in the last 7 or 8 ends, that's for sure. Holding 2, trying to make 3 of it. This is coming with a bit of speed, and well, that's fine. He sat and moved on top of the jack and made more than likely 3 shots. And now we'll see Wilson. First time I've seen him really have to, under pressure, I would say. Following up the Gary Lawson bowl, trying to get it to draw back towards the head, not going to. It's going to sit on one of the Australian bowls.
Yeah, which may be the third.
Maybe the third shot. New Zealand holding at least 2.
Yeah, I think it's only 2. Jamie Hill bowl actually out of picture here, and I think just in behind Aaron Tees it is, or in front of Aaron Tees. I think that's certainly not counting. New Zealand holding a couple.
And in the triples, I can tell you that Australia have just picked up 2 and are now measuring for the third. So here's now Gary Lawson. He's on that wider side. And it won't come back far enough. He's gone to the back, which again, it's not all bad either.
He wanted to be around these bowls because that wide white bowl is actually a white and purple bowl of the skip, Aaron Wilson.
Who's going to be under the head and drift right away. So,
yeah, sees when he is under pressure, he can become human. Aaron Wilson, he's had it. His bowl's on a string today, able to move the jack at will and change the head situation. Drew a number of shots for this Australian men's pair, but now with New Zealand holding a couple on the head, he's had a couple of loose bowls.
Had a real golden patch, didn't he? Well, it was great to watch. we were on the receiving end of it for sure, but it was certainly great to watch that full suite of shots which he played: run shots, draw shots, moving the jack around. He certainly put on a bit of a class performance there for those 6 or 7 ends. As New Zealand holding 2 shots, trailing 16-7. As we come to the end of the 16th end, this bowl, Gary Lawson's has got to stop like now, and it will.
Yeah, nice little touch off that short Australian bowl as well. So it now makes it 3 down Australia. All to do for Aaron Wilson with his final bowl, playing on the backhand side. What can he do? Can he really end it here for New Zealand? This isn't going to come back on that slightly tricky side as he's found. So 3 for New Zealand, and they're very much back in this men's pairs contest here after 16 of the 18 ends. Now there's 6 shots between them. Australia 16, New Zealand 10.
So it's a good comeback, that scoring that 3. And what you said, Brendan, about that hand, just does seem to hang a wee bit, doesn't it? It took drawing at the same on that. We saw that with two of Aaron Wilson's bowls, in fact. And so Jamie Hill, his first bowl now on end 17 of 18, trailing 16 to 10, 16 to 10, New Zealand trailing. And a Jamie Hill bowl.
Another good start from Jamie Hill, just like the previous end. A toucher that time.
Sits jack level.
Ray comes out from Gary Lawson to signify that. Aaron Tees forced to respond. As he plays on the backhand, which this is the side of the rink which is a bit more reliable, and certainly been favoured by all players, playing the backhand this way, and then the other way playing the forehand. Gary Lawson urging on Jamie Hill's second, asking it to hurry. And it's on a pretty decent track, but didn't quite have the weight. Ends up a good metre or so short there of the jack.
Aaron Tees now on the 17th end, playing his second bowl. How far is this going to run under the head? Is it going to sit on the bowl? In fact, it's going to sit, but it is the shot. Aaron Wilson indicating that was the shot, that last bowl of Aaron Tees. So New Zealand, of course, have got to score on this end, Brendan, to keep alive that opportunity of winning. Of course, all games are played out because of
differential.
and etc. So yeah, all games are played out. 16-10 at this point. 16-10. Aaron Wilson and Aaron Tees did a New Zealand peers combination of Jamie Hill and Gary Lawson in round 1 of the Trans-Tasman, and he got a lovely little feather there. Did Aaron Tees, ran that his bowl in towards the jack. Oh, got a feather off the Jamie Hill bowl. So Australia holding as they change over. Gary Lawson walking backwards, looking at that head. What do I do? How do I score? And I think you'll see Lawson trying to get down with a bit of yard of weight, trying to get down to the front bowl of Tees, which could give him the shot. So here's Lawson on the backhand, and he is playing with that searching weight, trying to get, as we said, to get to that bowl. Well, he got rid of one Australian bowl, but not ideally the one that he wanted. And I'm sure we'll see Wilson. Don't really worry too much about the head at this point. Brendan would be quite happy, in fact, if he goes past the head. But it just looks to be draw weight to the head, though. It's going, slipping by. And Lawson's got very little option but to try and attack here. Got the advantage of a Jamie Hill bowl back here, but near the back. So Lawson again playing with the weight to trying to get to the jack or the shot.
It's on a better line this time, and it gets the shot bowl. It goes into the ditch, I believe. And so,
let's see what's alive and what's dead.
So you got the Gary Lawson bowl in the ditch along with the jack, and now trying to draw to the ditch. There's Aaron Wilson.
How fast is coming back? Looks Jamie Hill still indicating 1 to New Zealand. That was his indication. Yes, it is still 1 to New Zealand, and indicating you've got about 6 feet to get the shot or another shot. New Zealand scored a 1 and a 3 the last 2 ends to.
So we've got the little yellow marker right next to the number, which is indicating where the jack is. So you can see it right at the bottom of the screen. So that's where he's trying to go to. The shot bowl is actually to the right of pitcher in the ditch. And you can see just sneaking into the pitcher on the right of screen as well as Aaron Wilson's second bowl. He's quickly on the mat, playing his third now.
And trying to beat his last bowl. Now we can see where we're looking at. And breaking down towards the head. And that'll be a 1 to New Zealand. Jamie Hill has already picked the mat up.
He knows that's not going to carry far enough. So one more for New Zealand to keep them alive. But now, to draw the first game, they need a 5 on the final end. 16-11 it is after 17 of the 18 ends. And this men's peers matchup, the first phase of the first Trans-Tasman test.
Well, it's interesting, Brendan, as we spoke about this before. I just had a quick look at the board then, and what we've in fact seen is this back end of the game. I mean, just how things can change around. New Zealand from the last halfway mark have scored, in fact, 9 shots to Australia's 4. So the back end, they've come back at them, which is it's positive, it's good. And I see New Zealand just scored again in the men's triples.
Yeah, 13-12 they lead after 15 of the 18 ends in the men's triples. That's happening just in front of our commentary position and alongside this men's peers matchup, which is now in the final end. 16-11 the score. So New Zealand needing a bit of a miracle here if they'd come out with something from this, but it has been a valiant comeback. They were 15-4 down after 11 ends.
It has been a very good comeback, really, despite... In fact, I was wrong there. New Zealand have scored 11-4 on the back end, in the back of the game. So, you know, that's scored from a 1, a 1, a 1, a 1, a 3, and a 1.
Yeah, it can't be 11 because they've only scored 11.
Sorry.
They had 3 halfway through. You might want to redo the math there.
They've scored 8.
Yeah, 8-4.
And Jamie Hill holding the shot here on this, the last end. Of course, needing a big number to force an extra end. And Jamie Hill, in fact, trails the jack.
Yeah, we apologise for our picture breakup here. Freezing. Oh, you can still hopefully hear us. We can call it live for you as to what the situation is on this, the 18th and final end of the men's pairs. As the third bowl from Aaron Tees just goes past the head. So think about this in your head. There's a Jamie Hill bowl right in front of the jack. 2 inches in front of the jack, right on the centre line.
There's 6 o'clock.
The second shot is an Aaron Tees bowl, which is maybe 2 feet to the left of the jack, of the pitcher. It's frozen right there in front of you.
So the Aaron Tees bowl is sitting at 12 o'clock. You imagine you have a clock in front of you. So Aaron Tees bowl is at 12. The Jamie Hill bowl is literally at 6 o'clock and is shot. So here's now Gary Lawson playing down towards the road end here at Club Helensvale, playing the last end, trailing 16-11 and trying to get inside that yellow bowl of Australia. And he's done. Jamie Hill indicated it made 2. It's 2 shots to New Zealand as Aaron Wilson now quickly into his work.
And you can see on screen what we're talking about.
Look at that.
And now T signalling 1 to Australia. And you can see clearly on the picture that is 1 to Australia.
Just got to run through, which he's done so often, and just plays with that reaching weight. And you saw New Zealand holding 2 shots. And now, in fact, 1 down. A good comeback here by New Zealand. Gary Lawson having a look. And I think he's got little option, Brendan, but just to try and run down to that shot bowl, 16-11. And I'm sure Lawson will be reaching that Australian bowl. He's on the mat now. He's certainly going to reach it right. Playing down on his backhand, trying to get to that bowl. But
again, we've seen that throughout, haven't we? When he's played the drive, obviously the last end, a couple of ends ago, it did work out for him. But the majority of his drives haven't hit the target and have come under.
They have. You can see where the drive line is, been through that between the yellow and the Jamie Hill bowl down to the jack, and it's just about been cut off, that drive line, actually, with that bowl of Aaron Wilson's. Looking over just quickly at that men's triples, I can see an Andrew Kelly, Crystal Eve, and Ali Forsyth bowl all pretty much around the jack. So watch now, Gary Lawson playing a more tentative weight to try and get to the jack. Does not.
Very good effort.
Great effort. Goes by.
But Australia holding the shot. And it's shake hands time here. It's just a matter of whether he can make it 2. Can Aaron Wilson? This one looks like it's going to end up in a pretty decent position. And it just comes up short. So 1 to Australia. And it finishes in the men's pairs, 17-11. The Australian combination of Aaron Wilson and Aaron Tees beating Gary Lawson and Jamie Hill. And Kevin, it was all done in those, after the first few ends, which are pretty tight, It was 3-2 Australia, 3-2 after the 3 ends, but then from that moment on, Aaron Wilson took control.
Yeah, from ends 6 to 11, that was the big turning point of the game, where we saw the Aaron Wilson show, where he did everything. He moved the jack, he drew the shot, did everything that, just highlighting the class, the international class that Aaron Wilson brings. And New Zealand, to be fair and be critical, they sort of fell away with their game. Jamie Hill struggled on the draw. The run shots of Gary Lawson, as you just spoke about a moment ago, Brenton, were off target. And that certainly opened the door up for this very strong Australian side to edge ahead convincingly ahead of our New Zealand peers combination of Jamie Hill and Gary Lawson. A mini fight back at the back end of the game where we saw New Zealand score 2 singles and a 3 to get us within 16-11 as we played the last end, but not to be, because just too strong in that midway stages, and the Australian combination of Aaron Wilson and Aaron Tees running out the winners by 17 to 11 in this first round of the Trans-Tasman Bowls here at the Club Helensvale here on the Gold Coast.
So that's done for our first phase of action of the first Trans-Tasman tests. We'll give you all the scores from the first phase when we return at 3 p.m. New Zealand time for the second round of action. It'll be the women's fours we'll be bringing you Taylor Bruce, Selena Goddard, Val Smith and Caitlin Inch to take on Kelsey Cottrell, Carla Krasanik, Beck Van Ash and Natasha Scott. Make sure you join us then as the Trans-Tasman first test continues.